Hey everyone, and welcome back to True North Training TV, TNTTV. I am your host, Liesel. This is episode 2. First of all, thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments on gratitude. I hope you're finding ways to implement that practice more into your daily lives and experiencing wonderful benefits from more gratitude. But today, in episode 2, we are tackling the big topic of motivation. How can we motivate campers more? How can we find more motivation for ourselves and things that we're doing? What is the big research out there on motivation, and how does it apply to the work we do in our personal lives? So let's just jump right into it. First of all, what is motivation? How do we describe it? Well, at True North, here's how we describe motivation. Let's go back to the chalkboard. This is the outside chalkboard in the backyard. Okay, so we describe motivation like this. We say that a motivated person is someone who will do what needs to be done when it needs to be done because they want to do whatever it is that we're talking about here. It could be that they're really motivated to exercise, and so they do what needs to be done. They exercise regularly when it needs to be done, well, regularly, daily, whatever, because they want to. Now, this is different from what we would call someone who uses this. And that says self-discipline. So someone who uses self-discipline, they do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, when they don't want to. When they don't want to do it. So for example, that could be someone who cleans their house every once in a while because, it's something that needs to be done, and they do it when it needs to be done, but they really don't want to do it, but it needs to get done, so they do it anyway. It could be, a lot of parents talk about self-discipline in packing the meal pack for their kids. They don't love making lunches every single day, but it needs to be done, so they do it. This is different from what we would call someone who needs to be managed. So someone who needs to be managed is someone who will do what needs to be done when it needs to be done only when they're told to. So that could be people who drive the speed limit. A lot of times that's something that we do when it needs to be done only because the law tells us to, or we pay our taxes only because the law says we have to. Or it could be, the teenage boy takes out the trash because that's his job, but only because someone tells him to. It's not something that he maybe does on his own because he's really motivated to do it. So these are the different levels of involvement that at True North we talk about. And we show up as these 3 different levels in all walks of life and all of our different activities. So there's some things in my life that I am really motivated to do. There's some things that I have to use my self-discipline for, and there's some things that my dear sweet husband has to manage me. Otherwise, it's just not going to get done because I don't want to do it. So as we look at the different areas, our dream is that we would love for campers to show up highly motivated to participate at camp. But that's not always the case. Some exercise their self-discipline, and some of them were managed by their parents to show up at camp. So what do we do in those situations, and why is it really that important? Well, first of all, the higher a person is up on their level of involvement, the more motivated they are, the more they're going to learn, and the better they're going to learn. So it is our goal to increase the level of motivation with the campers that we work with, and for ourselves personally in the things that we're involved in. So how do we do it? Well, The answer to that question is found in one place and one place only, and that is my child's sandbox. Let's go. Here we are, in the sandbox. Oh, you can't see me. Okay, here we go, in the sandbox. And so, the leading research on motivation comes from a couple guys called DC and Ryan. And actually, Ryan was just here in the area last week, and I had a chance to go meet with him and talk to him and get some more information about this really powerful theory that leads the field of motivation. And basically, hold on a sec. Let me grab my notes. Okay, so here's the basic summary of their theory. It's called self-determination theory. And basically the theory says that we have 3 buckets. Here we go. We have 3 basic, ignore all this, toys. We have 3 basic physiological needs. And when these basic needs are met, we find ourselves more motivated in that setting. So, one of those basic physiological needs that we have is the need for, right here, is the need for competence. Yeah, competence. So we want to feel good at doing something. When we feel competence or when we feel success at something, that increases our level of motivation. So we try something new and, ooh, this bucket gets filled up. A lot of us have heard many of us in True North talk about the dopamine reward cycle in the brain. That when we do something well, when we experience success, dopamine is released in the brain, and dopamine is yummy to the brain. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And it fills up this bucket right here of competence and helps us be more motivated in that situation. So the question is, like, are there ways that we can help campers at Camp True North to feel more competent in the new skills that they are practicing at True North? What is our role to help them feel more competent? They're trying new things, new listening skills, communication skills, public speaking, being more open in their communication and evening shares. How can we help them feel like, wow, they're doing it, and they're doing it well. So they're more motivated to participate fully in the activities at Camp True North. Something to think about. It's all about competence. The second physiological need that DC and Ryan outline in self-determination theory that increases motivation is this idea of autonomy. Now, autonomy is a big word, and the way they described it last week to me, which was really helpful to clarify for me, is that it's you endorse what you are doing, that you support it. The activity is aligned with your own interests and your own values. And it's not so much a sense of independence, it's not about freedom, it's about feeling like you are aligned with what it is that you're doing. So the activity needs to be meaningful to them, for the campers that we work with. They need to find meaning in it. So we got to look at camp from their perspective. What is it that they value in their personal lives, and how can we connect the things at camp to what it is that they value and they find interesting? And that's going to help us to build this sense of autonomy with the campers that we work with. One of the best ways to do that is to provide them choices. And when we give them choices, then it helps to fill up this bucket here of autonomy. Last week they shared a research study that I found fascinating about autonomy. They said, here, let's check it out. They said they did this study with kids, and like little kids, and they asked them, hey, what are your 2 favorite vegetables? And then they broke the students, not the students, the kids, into 3 different groups. Now, one group was given just one of their favorite vegetables. Let's say their favorite vegetables were carrots and broccoli, because that's what I had at the house. I mean, what kid has broccoli as their favorite vegetable? But work with me here. That's what I had. So imagine, so 1/3 of the group were told, well, here you go. We gave you one of your favorite vegetables. Eat as much as you want. And then the second group were given this. They were given a plate of both of their favorite vegetables, but they were told, you can only eat one kind of vegetable. You decide, you pick, but you can only eat one of them. And then the third group were given both of their favorite vegetables, but they were told you can eat as much as you want of either one. You can have both. So here we have our 3 different groups. And what the research showed is that the young people, the children who were given both options, ate more vegetables in general. So the moral of the story is eat your vegetables and give choices. Find opportunities to give choices to the campers that we work with so that they feel more connected and more aligned with the purpose of what we're working with at camp. So we have competence, we have autonomy, and the last basic physiological need that self-determination theory outlines is a need. It's a need, and when it's met, when it's filled, when this bucket is filled, we are more motivated to engage in that activity. And that is the need of relatedness, is what that says. Now, that's just a big fancy word that basically means that we feel like we're cared for. We feel connected to this community. There's a sense of belonging, that wherever we are, we feel connected to this group. Now, I believe that this is a need that we do a really good job of meeting at Camp True North. And so that means that the team leaders let each camper know that they are unique, they're important, they're valued in the team. This looks like the facilitator facilitating a piece in a way that the campers get the message of like, hey, I'm sharing this information with you because I care about you and because I know it's going to help you in your life. And not so much from a place of like, hey, I'm just going to be funny up on the stage. Woo woo. No. It's about connecting to them on a personal level and letting them know that we care about them. It's about a camper going to camp office to get something and the camp office staff helping them know and feel that they are cared for as a person and not just someone to take care of their practical needs. It shows up in every moment of every day of camp that we can fill this relatedness bucket. So friendships should be developed. Traditions should be established to help fulfill this bucket of relatedness. So let's review. Motivation is when people will do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, because they want to. The way we can foster that level of motivation is by filling these 3 buckets for people. We can help them feel competent, feel successful in what they're doing. We can help them feel like they have a sense of autonomy, a sense of choice, a sense of almost ownership, because it's connected to something that's interesting and meaningful to them, and a sense of relatedness. They feel connected and cared for in the environment that they're in. And that, folks, according to the research and our own experience at Camp True North, is what helps motivate people to be more involved, to be more engaged, and to just to have a better experience in whatever they're doing. So think about yourselves personally. Think about something. Is there an area of your life that you could maybe use a little bit more motivation in? Maybe it is in your own physical exercise. Well, instead of getting overwhelmed, like, oh, I can't run 10 kilometers, start with 1. Do something that you know you can feel competent in and that you can get that hit of dopamine from. So if it's 1 kilometer, go for it. Go hit that 1 kilometer, feel competent, and then let that motivate you to aim for 2. Or maybe you need to give yourself permission to have a bit more autonomy. Maybe running's not your thing. Maybe there's give yourself some options or some choices of how you can exercise so you feel more motivated to do it. And then maybe go find an exercise buddy. Find a friend who'd be willing to get out there with you and do a yoga class or go for a long bike ride, whatever it is that is going to work for you. So just take some time and reflect for yourself as to how these buckets can help fill your own motivation and things that you might be dragging your feet a little bit in your own personal life. Comment below on any insights that you might be having about motivation for yourself personally or for camp. We'd love to hear your ideas on how we could fill these buckets even more in the work that we do at True North. Until then, and until our next episode coming up next month, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference. Bye. Woo-hoo!